Hey, what is happening YouTube? My name is Aslan and welcome back to the Savant Life. This is another brand new episode, and on this one we're going to be talking about the latest motorcycle brand from China to try and enter the Indian market and the launch that they just had in Bangalore. Yes, we're going to be talking about all of the bikes that they plan to bring to the Indian market. Yes, it's 4 of them in total, but I think the predominant portion of this video is going to be dedicated to the CF Moto 300 NK because I think that would be the bike of interest to me and to most of you out there as well. So if this is your first time around with the Savant Life, then go ahead and make sure to hit that subscribe button and also click on the notifications tab so that you get to know when I put out a video before anybody else. And while you're at it, also click on the like button because it really helps the video reach as many people as possible, because whether you like it or you don't, that is how the YouTube algorithm works. So if you've done both of those things, let's go ahead and get started and try and analyze the probability of success for CF Moto in this extremely crowded and competitive Indian motorcycling market. Let's get started. Hey Savant Squad, what is happening? Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Savant Life and also search for my page on Facebook and give it a big old thumbs up. Now for those of you who might not be in the know, let's begin right at the beginning, which is what exactly CF Moto is, what a lot of you must be wondering. So it is a Chinese motorcycling company, and it is one of the largest companies in China to manufacture motorcycles, and they make all kinds of motorbikes, including entry-level bikes, mid-level to premium bikes. They also make a lot of gears, parts, accessories and engines as well. The company has developed more than 98 models of vehicles, and they've manufactured about 51 different types of engines which are sold to countries pretty much all around the world, and that essentially means that this is not a run-of-the-mill company. This is not just some company that was set out of thin air and decided to come in and cash in on the extremely lucrative Indian motorcycle market. They've been around for quite some time, they're reputed, and they've definitely earned their stripes. And what you guys might find most interesting out of all of this is that they have partnered with KTM in order to manufacture the KTM Duke 790 for the Chinese market, and that is a huge feather in their cap. And speaking of the KTM Duke 790, I know all of us in India have been waiting on it for such a long time, that middleweight monster that has proven to be so elusive. But hopefully KTM should bring that bike into the Indian market sometime in 2020. Now the CF Moto also makes a huge variety of motorcycles. Their smallest variant is called the Saint Papio, and well, let me try an Italian pronunciation of it, even though it's a Chinese company. It's called the Saint Papio, which is a 125cc motorcycle. Essentially think of it as their version for Honda Grom. Their flagship product really is the NK series, which is the Naked Street Bike series, and they have the CF Moto NK 150. They have a 250cc version, they have a 300cc version as well, and they also have a 650cc version of it, which over here in the Indian market I think would compete directly with Kawasaki. But all of that is for the future. Apart from that, they also have various different versions of the 650cc bike. They have an MT and they have a GT version as well, which is essentially meant for touring and comes with fairing and all kinds of accessories that you would need on those long highway commutes. Now, as far as its entry into the Indian market, CF Moto is going to be taking the CKD route into the domestic market, which essentially means the completely knocked down kits. So they will be manufacturing the bikes in China, and then they will be bringing it over here as completely knocked down kits, and they will just be assembled over here in India. And for that, they've tied up with a local partner called AMW Motors, which is basically a company that is based out of Bangalore, and they have a facility near Hyderabad, and all of that assembling will be taking place over here, which is the reason why they should be able to price the bikes fairly competitively. And of course, if it's a Chinese brand, they have no choice but to charge a very affordable price. Otherwise, you know, our short circuitry just kind of goes crazy because we associate Chinese brands and products with value for money and for being copycats. And speaking of price, I'm very happy to tell you that they have actually hit the sweet spot, because the CF Moto 300 NK is going to be priced at an ex-showroom price tag of 2.29 lakhs. The CF Moto 650 NK, which is the entry-level naked middleweight, is going to come in an extremely attractive 3.99 lakhs only, and that is ex-showroom price. However, I think they've cut a few corners with that bike. They don't have a TFT screen and so many other features that the entry-level bike actually gets. And moving along, the CF Moto 650 MT comes in at 4.99 lakhs, and the 650 GT at the highest price tag that they have of 5.49 lakhs. ex-showroom. But if you look at it overall, I think they've priced the bikes quite sensibly, and especially for the entry-level ones, which is the 300 NK and the 650 NK, you really can't beat that price. However, will the Indian public bite the bait? People like you and me, are we going to be flocking to the AMW showrooms and booking these bikes? Now that's a whole different question, and let's talk about it right now. But before that, I need to put my phone aside. Okay, let's get started. You see, the CF Moto 300 NK is really the tip of the arrow for the company to enter into the India market, and how this bike does will really dictate the fate of the other motorcycles as well. And if you really look at this bike, you will notice a striking similarity to the KTM Duke 390, and that is where I think the problems begin to unravel, because we already have this perception of Chinese brands being knockoffs or copycats, and when the bike that you bring into the market, which is supposed to be a flagship offering, looks so completely similar to the KTM Duke 390, then I think people are going to have a problem accepting it as a legitimate and authentic offering. Now, especially in India, I think wherein we look at these kind of premium bikes, because 300cc bikes are essentially entry-level bikes in the Western markets. But over here, we look at 300cc bikes as almost premium bikes. And when the price difference is not more than 25 to 30,000 rupees, why would you not just go for the KTM Duke 390, the original that has been ruling the roost in the Indian market, and instead go for a poorer man's knockdown imitation version like a CF Moto, plus the fact that it's from China as compared to KTM, which is from Austria, I think also factors in majorly for people like us when we make a decision, because obviously we have some kind of a fascination for these esoteric, exotic European brands as compared to something that is from China. The China thing doesn't seem to bother people too much when they're buying cell phones, because somehow I think they justify it, because ultimately they will change their cell phones in a couple of years. But when you're looking at a motorbike, which is more of a conspicuous product and it's something that appeals to the heart, the Chinese thing just does not seem to cut it. And if you need examples, you don't need to look further beyond Benelli. Now, I know Benelli's original roots are Italian, but essentially they are owned by a Chinese company and they make fantastic machines. However, they've not really managed to do all that great in India. And to a large extent, you can say the same thing about Motors as well. Now, I know quality-wise, the motorcycles of cannot really be compared to Benelli, but even Motors, for the kind of value for money products that they were offering, which were very differentiated, and you couldn't really say that they looked like somebody else's offerings, they still have not been able to make any kind of a dent in the Indian market or acquire a fan following that anybody can be proud of. Anyways, coming back to the CF Moto NK300, the bike has a really sharp and cool looking design. Unfortunately for them though, it looks just a little too much like the KTM Duke 390, and that is something that I don't think the Indian market at least is going to be too willing to forgive. Now, had this bike been launched sometime in 2014 or 2015, when such a design did not really prevail in the market, then I think it would have found a lot of takers. But right now, it just looks like it is imitating something that is cool and trendy in the market. And when you do that as a company, you don't really go all that far. I mean, look at Honda with their CB300. They have actually gone with a totally different design. They have not tried to imitate what is working in the market. They've come up with their own design philosophy, which is the Neo Cafe Racer philosophy, which combines modern elements with retro design, and I think they've created one stunning looking bike. However, with the NK300, it is a pretty good looking bike. However, it suffers from an inferiority complex, because a lot of people are just going to look at this bike and think of it as a knockoff of the KTM Duke 390. However, they have some interesting color combinations. It comes with a silver and teal design, which I think looks pretty good. And one of the reviewers on YouTube that belongs to an auto portal was, I won't name which one, was calling it silver and blue. And people really have to learn the difference between teal and blue. What you see over here is teal. Blue is what the Indian cricket team actually wears. But with that helpful tip out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the specifications of the bike. It comes with that TFT console, and again, that was a segment first when the Duke 390 did it about a couple of years back. Right now, it just looks a little too eerily similar for my comfort. Apart from that, it has a lot of design elements across the bike, including the headlight, which looks so similar to the Duke 390. Interestingly enough, at the rear, things get a little different, because over here, inspiration seems to have been sought from the R15. Again, an overall good looking bike, but I don't really think it is going to do anything great in the Indian markets because people are constantly going to be comparing it to the much more premium brands. Now, as far as the specs are concerned, it comes with USD forks, it comes with that TFT console, and it also has dual channel ABS. It can produce about 30 bhp of power at about 20 newton meters of torque. The torque, I think, is on the lower end, but of course you can not really say anything much by sitting over here unless and until you get to ride the bike. The bike though is only weighing in at about 151 kg, so that at least means that it gets a pretty healthy power to weight ratio. And now coming to the distribution part, it turns out that their local partner AMW Motors is going to be helping CF Moto in terms of setting up distribution centers all over the country and really in sort of giving them more knowledge and more understanding of the local Indian markets. Now, they have priced the bike, like I said before, quite reasonably at about 2.29 lakhs ex-showroom, making it the most affordable out of all of the 300cc bikes that we really have in the Indian markets. But when you can pay another 20,000 rupees more and get a CB300R from Honda at about 2.41 lakhs ex-showroom, or the KTM Duke 390, the king of that segment, at about 2.48 lakhs, then I don't know why anybody would really go for this. But again, some people really want to be different for the sake of difference, so that segment is something that is wide open for CF Moto to tap into. But overall, I think it'll be interesting to see how the company actually does. It's always good to have more options. It's always good to have healthy competition within the market, and CF Moto definitely seems to have all of their plans set in motion, and they've tied up with local partners, and we will really have to wait and see how their journey pans out. But for right now, if you like this video again, then go ahead and give it a big old thumbs up, and if you have any kind of comments, observations or questions for me, then drop them in the comment section below and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. But for right now, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay subscribed, stay safe, ride safe, have fun, and kick all kinds of ass. I thought I'd do like a new sign off, not the same old, same old. Alright? I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.